Hello everyone. This is the final outcome for my 30-ish-year-old Lego castle that has been subjected to retrobrighting. Let's dive into the process I used. To start with, I had my castle in pieces, so I have to sort and gather them all together. To do this, I'm going to be using a website called Brickset to verify what I'm looking for, and I'm going to use the bins to group them for easy sorting. The reason for my using Brickset in this instance is that the older sets are not listed on LEGO's site, and nor are they available for use in their building app. Even if I had my old manual, back then they didn't list the pieces like they do on the newer sets, so Brickset is perfect for that. Whatever pieces that I had that were in chunks, I sort them apart and then I put them in their little bins so that I can count them easily. And then what I'll do with my tablet is I'll go through the different pieces and verify what I need. So in this instance, 1, 2, 4, and so on. Then the way I sort everything is by shape. So I'll take the flats with the flats, like in this instance, making sure that they're grouped together so I can easily count them, and make sure I have exactly what I need. Then I'll go through and continue on grouping them. So in this instance, I'm taking the angles with the angles. So here I'm putting them in groups of 5. So it's really easy for me to count and know exactly how many I need. In this example, you can see all the different ones are put out there, so it's really easy to know what I have. So then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these different pieces, and based on the discoloration, I'm going to separate them a bit. So in this instance, you can see these set right here is really yellowed out compared to the one behind it. So I'm going to separate them just a little bit so I know the differences between which ones will need more care when it comes to the retrobrighting. So what I'll do is, with my sorting system, I've got tubs for whites, tubs for colors, reds, blues, blacks, grays, dark grays, and then I go into each one, and what I do is the parts and the pieces that I have, they get put in a smaller bag, and they're sorted by size. So the medium sizes group with the medium sizes, the large with the larges, the smalls with the smalls. So when I'm looking for a piece, it's pretty easy just to grab that piece for the small bags. Now what I do as well is I'll take the technits with the technits, the ups with the ups, like in this instance right here. Then the downs will go down, so it makes it a lot easier to find what I'm looking for without having to go through everything. So now that I have my sorting all figured out, what I'm doing is I'm storing it so that I can find what I need quickly and not have to waste my time looking through every single bag. So an example here is, if I'm looking at some of these pieces, some of them are pretty yellowed or way discolored. And so what I'll do is I'll go through the bricks that I have. And so, like in this instance, I found these right here. These were sorted in a bag. They're in a lot better condition than the other ones. So what I'll do is I'll take these and replace them with the really yellowed ones and go from there. So this way, it'll be a little bit easier, and then I don't have to worry about it in the future. Then I'll have the same amount of bricks, but I'm taking the ones that are the worst and I'm replacing them with ones that are a little bit better. And then that way I don't have to do too much of retrobrighting from it because I have spares. Then with the really yellowed versions of the bricks, I put them in this little storage bag that I have so that they're separated. So that's what I'm doing, going through. I'm sorting everything, picking everything, looking for everything, and then that's what we got. as you can see down there, the ones in the bins, these are all complete. So you know that I finished them and I marked them off. The ones that are down here are not complete. I still have to find more. So I've got to pick them up for two reasons. One, I have to replace the ones that would have yellow. And second reason would be I don't have enough. So if the quantity calls for 20 and I only have right now 14, I know that I need a little bit more before I can put it in its own little bin. So I'll leave them out here until I can find more, replace some of those yellows. If I don't have a replacement, it's not that big of a deal because I'm trying to restore it. And the horses are with the horses, minifigures with the minifigures, accessories with the accessories, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, I went through these and I was able to get rid of the really yellowed ones just so that they're a lot closer in color. So when I'm using the Retrobright, it'll be a little bit better, more gradual. Then the next thing that I do is I kind of go through them and I pick them up and I take a look. I want to make sure that there's no major scratches or damage or something that's really messed up. So in here, you can see that this piece won't click correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it, take it off, get one of my replacement pieces and put it on in between here so that it'll fit a little better, work a little better, and just look a lot cleaner. So that way it fits together better. And then I'll take that and then I'll make sure that it gets moved to a different bin that I have for messed up parts. So once you've done sorting everything and putting everything, counting, making sure that all of your pieces are there, it's now time to wash them. Okay, as you can see, all the little guys are inside this mesh bag. They're spread out. They're not really touching each other. They're very gently placed in there. This side is outside. I used a pull strap here to make it easier. And then I'm going to put them in the water that I have over here. I've got the just a little bowl, maybe about 3 tablespoons of soap. Not too much. Warm water, not that hot. And then I'm just gonna slowly grab them and then just kind of let them soak in here. So they're just gonna sit here and soak in there for about 10 minutes and then I'll come back after that. And now I got all of these are done. I'm moving on to like the ones that I put into the little bags. So opened up a bag. I'm gonna grab one on its own. And I'm going to use my little microfiber. I'm going to stay away from where the painting is, or the printing. And then with that, I'm just going to gently use my hand to kind of do that. I'm going to rinse them off a little bit, and then stick them in a different micro bag, so that way I can continue. So then again, time for the next one. Getting the horsey, cleaning them off. The water does... the soap water, just letting it soak, does a really good job on its own. But just for those little stubborn spots, just want to clean them off a little bit more. And then make sure. And I'm going to do the same thing for the minifigures. I'm not going to get the printing. I'm going to just make sure to rub the printing slightly. Rinse them off. Put them in. Should have 4 horsies. Here's my guy. Okay. Rinsing off. Okay, and I believe I have the saddles in here. Okay, now these ones, they're old, they're delicate, so I don't really try and do anything with them being delicate, just with as far as scrubbing or anything. I know these things are prone to break really easily, so you want to make sure to avoid anything like that on those. Some of these are pretty clean already. You can take a look. The water did a good job. So then when I'm done, I'm going to get the little horsies, seal them back up. put them in their little thingy, and then I will, in this instance though, I'm not going to put them in the water. I'm just going to set them here, and then I'm going to run the water on them directly to rinse them. Same thing with the minifigures that are on the inside. And then once this is done, I could just kind of discard this to the side and then work on that. Okay. For the rinsing, it's not too hot, not too cold, just kind of warm water. You can get it, take it, and just rinse off the ones in the bag. You don't want to shake them, you don't want to move them. You just want to make sure that it's getting rinsed as well as possible without having to worry about the stuff that's going on. So just kind of rinse them, keep them clean. To get as much water out as possible, just kind of group them like this, and then just kind of shake them off. That way they're not rattling inside. They'll air dry on the towel, so you don't have to worry about too much from that portion. Okay, so then after I take them out, what I do is I kind of just spread them out on the towel in their order. I want to make sure I have all the pieces and that I didn't leave anything. I also turned the bag inside out to make sure nothing was left in there. So I kind of let them air dry, and this is their finished look. So after the washing. So as you can see, they still have their shine. And if you look at some of the similar differences, like this helmet, where is it? This helmet and this one right here, you can see that the rounded one has some sun damage on, which we'll work on next. Alright, so next, got the water running. I got this portion. I'm going to take them out, rinse them out a little bit from that portion, and then just going to get along the edges and just rinse them a little bit more, get rid of the water from that side, and then this will help make sure that they're clean. And then when they're done, I'm just going to put them down in the strainer and then pick them out and put them out on the towel. The specialty hard to clean bricks like these, you can see they've got some stuff on them. And these are actually really old. Some of them are very sunburned or I forget, like yellowed, but that shows in here. I'm just gonna kind of set them in there to beginning to soak with, and then these ones are a little bit cleaner, so I just kind of put them on the opposite side that way. And then you got the printed ones, and these are just gonna kind of go over here on the side as well. So, and then I'll let those soak for about 15 minutes as well. Okay, so when I'm done, I lifted the strainer and I just kind of stuck it right here on top of my washer because it's not going to be used. I kind of spread them out so that they're easy to dry. So they'll dry easily and we can kind of take a look, but this is the end result of what they look like after cleaning them. And then I've got to do the same thing for the others as well. Process per batch for a size of this magnitude, I would say it's about hour and a half. These ones I'm gonna go ahead and take them off one by one, just kind of again with my hand, nothing major. Maybe I'll do like the scrubby on the tops, but that's about it. I'm not even gonna touch the printings. Go from there, then I'm just gonna rinse them, and then I'm not even gonna put them in there. I'm just gonna put them aside at that point. So now that I'm done, I washed them and I rinsed them. I've got like this, my thing has like a little thing at the bottom where I can kind of lift it and it will make sure that nothing kind of goes through. It's got a strainer at the bottom as well to make sure that I didn't miss any of the little tiny pieces that might still be in there at the bottom. So there's a strainer at the bottom, so if it drops, it's gonna go into there. But it looks like I got them all. Everything's clear. There's no pieces in here. So now that I have everything cleaned, sorted, the next part of the process is to try and get the yellow out of the bricks that we have with a process known as retrobrighting. So what I did was I set up this tripod rig where I've got a bin at the bottom with holes. The holes are mostly so that it can release the heat that comes from it, and I got a UV lamp underneath that. Here I have a bucket, clear bucket for it to shine through from the bottom, and then that way it sits on top of the bucket, so we don't have to worry about it falling through, and that it can shine up from the bottom. So that light will then point UV at it from there, and then there's a UV on the top which hangs down from it on the tripod that will, like my makeshift way of doing it, so that it'll shine lights from both sides of it. So that way it gets hit UV lights from both the bottom and the top, mixed with the solution that we're going to put into it, and then we're going to be able to check it hour by hour just to see how the process works. So I've got myself black chemical gloves so that the peroxide can kind of dye the skin or make it look weird temporarily. So I got that just in case it splashes. I've got safety glasses. I'm in an outdoor area. I'm making sure that I have well ventilation, making sure that I'm taking all the precautions. So now that you understand how the process works, our next step is to take these pieces and try and get them to be close to the same color. So as you can see, there's two different bricks here. One is a lot lighter, and the sun damaged one are were exposed over time, and the sunlight got to it and made it discolored to a way where they don't look like they're the same brick, even though they are. So what we want to do is we want to use the retrobrighting solution process to try and get them together as close as possible. So I'm going to take my yellowed pieces and I'll put them in my little pan, and we're going to start with the worst ones first. So here I've lined them up in the pan where I'm going to be fixing them, and I didn't want them to overlap with each other. I wanted to give them enough space to let the light shine through on both the sides and the front, and just get a good look of all sides. So when it's reacting with it from all sides. I have to get it from the bottom, the top, the sides, the left, and so what I might end up doing, depending on how it goes, is kind of take a look at them. Every hour you kind of come in and say, okay, well, the bottom side's looking good, the top side's not looking so bad, and I might flip them, and I might like say, okay, let's move it to the top better than to the bottom. Depends on how it goes, and I'm gonna look at them, and what I'll do is I'll bring them to the ones that I do have, and I'll compare them, and I'll be like, okay, are they getting close to the way that the new ones were, or the not new, the better ones are. So now that I have my placement figured out, how many pieces I want so that they're not overlapping, and I know about how high I need to put the solution in, I'm going to take them out, add the solution into it so that I can make sure they're good. In preparation, I removed all the bricks, and I'm going to be using this 12% hydrogen peroxide, 4 times stronger. And I'm going to be using this OxyClean to kind of activate it. I'm only going to use a small bit. Then I'm going to put it in there, grab the pieces, drop them in there, and move from there. So for this, I'm only adding just a small, less than a tablespoon, maybe a teaspoon closer. Just a small smidgen, just enough to activate everything. So sprinkle it in. Now I'm spreading it around, making sure that it's not all in one spot. And next I'm going to add the hydrogen peroxide. So I'm pouring it in. Again, don't forget the safety glasses and the gloves. And I'm mixing it in now, making sure that it's kind of breaking up. What it's going to do is it's going to like release like oxygen bubbles, I think is what it's called, where it kind of helps it bond quicker, at least from what I've read. Okay, so here they are inside the plate, ready to go. I'm gonna use, you don't want to touch it as much as possible, so you just kind of want to move everything. Make sure that, try not to get them to overlap, at least a little bit, as best you can, just so that you have the most coverage on everything. Keep them submerged. If they're not submerged, you want to put something down on them to kind of keep them that way. But this looks good moving forward. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the lamps. So here we are. We've got a bottom lamp, and then if you look, we've got a top lamp, and they're just gonna sit there for about an hour. I'm gonna set an alarm, come back and take a look and check them out. Okay, so about an hour has passed. I set the alarm for an hour. I came in about midway, about 30 minutes or so, just kind of turned them over just in case. Wanted to make sure that it got like a even type of thing, because even though the bottom has a LED light going against it, and glass is supposed to be pretty good for letting things go through, it doesn't do as good of a job as an open surface. And plus they were kind of floating up a little bit, so I kind of turned them over. So what I did was I brought one of these. This is one that has already been, remember there was the difference between the yellowed and the non-yellowed? So this is a non-yellowed that I just kind of brought here just so I can kind of take a look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up one of these bricks in between, and if you can take a look here, they're kind of right next to each other. So again, it was really yellowed before. It's getting a little less yellowed. It's getting close to looking like what the other one looked like. So I'm gonna go ahead and set another hour alarm, probably come back, flip them over midway right now, and then do it again. I'll flip them over now, flip them over midway in between. But as you can see, these are starting to get less yellow, and they're starting to look a lot like the same color of the existing one, even in there. So second hour into it, I came back midway, flipped it again. I have my piece. I added a piece at the bottom right here. This is kind of like my test for this is like a new piece. This is what the actual color should look like beforehand. So I just kind of got this as another way of seeing what it is and how it works. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab one of these pieces and then just kind of take a look, see how it's doing. It looks like it's getting closer to here. Kind of even a little bit brighter now than that one, but still quite not there. I'm going to go ahead and continue for a third hour just to see how it is. But I'm going to take out some of these other bricks. Some of these little helmets in here, I think these are pretty much ready to go. They're done. They weren't quite as yellowed as the other one, so I'm going to grab them and take them out. Put them aside as well. So here I have the second batch that I'm doing. The thing that I wanted to say though is that, say if you don't have the UV setup and you want to do it all, because there's a lot too, and you have pretty good sunny weather, what you can do is just use the sun. So what I've done is I've just kind of put my different batches. I've used whatever containers I have in there to just kind of. So the caution I have for the bricks that were really yellowed is you don't want to leave them in there too long, because the longer you leave them in there, they actually become bleached and they'll become white instead of gray. So caution on that. So the last thing I'm doing is I'm just kind of going through all of the different ones because I kind of set them out there. Some, they have different graying ability, like as far as when they're done. So I'm just kind of sifting through, and then I'm taking the ones that are clean or better, and I'm taking those. And while the other ones still have a little bit more to go, I'm letting those stay a little bit longer so that way, like this one is good, but you compare this one to this one, you can see that there's a slight difference in it. So I'm taking the ones that are good, and that all depends on, like, when I was doing the sorting, so much of it was some of them were newer, some of them were older, so they're gonna have varying degrees of color degradation. And so some will, I don't know if they're ever, at least with this, gonna get to be like completely as good as they were, you know, as they originally were, but I do know that a good majority of what is happening is way better than what it was. So I'm still happy with the turnout of it, and then when we put the final build together, we'll be able to see just how close everything came to where it is. So again, sorting through the ones that are already complete. Those are the ones that I want to then take and then go rinse them off and then dry them again. So just going through the ones that I have got. There's some good ones. There's some black tends to do it better. White has a pretty good conversion rate from what I can tell, or restoration rate. This one is much better than it was. I remember it was really yellow, so that one's getting there. Also, I'm then consolidating everything that I have and then putting it away. So I like to use the peroxide a couple different times so that way I'm not using it. I am going to lose a lot of it to the heat, right? It's going to evaporate and we're not going to have the ability to retake that, but the stuff that I do keep, I'm going to reuse when I can. So that's what I've got. This is a little bit more, some of this stuff is good, some of this stuff is bad, but at least this way it gives it a better ability to capture the sunlight without having to over get the others. So that's where, okay. You can see from some of the ones that I've done the nice colors that are there. I want to give you a good example of how it was when it started. So this is right here. I have one of the versions where you can see the color difference. So if you see here, see how it has like a yellow tinge to it? That's how they all started off. They were very yellow. So it's closer to the color of the yellow than it is of the gray, and so you can definitely see that it took on a much nicer tone. It's not perfect. If you look close, you can still see there's a couple of like variations. It's like you can see the difference in the shades a little bit depending on some of the bricks. Some of them were really yellow, some of them were not. So, but for the most part, it's really good. Much newer looking. And here's another example. This is a brand new brick that I have. It has nothing to do with the set, but just for reference, you can kind of see the difference in like how close it is to the quality of actual new bricks. It's not quite there, but there. Again, here, when you look at them close together, like the difference between the yellow and the non-yellow to gray. It did the same. I had one helmet that was much older than the other helmets for some reason. One just got, like this one right here. Right here was bad, but then I put it in there. What you have to be careful of, you do not want to leave it in there for very long. You want to do it for about a day at the, 6-8 hours at the most. If it doesn't get completely to this color after your first run, don't do it again, because what you'll end up doing is you'll end up bleaching the brick to the point to where it starts to look white and it doesn't look gray. So I just want to do that one. The minifigs, I only put them in a 3% solution. Left them out for just a little bit of time. I didn't do them too much just because they're my more delicate ones. The brown, those ones I did a little bit longer. These were older and they had like a different color brown to them. So that's it. Hope that helps everybody. Thank you.